Ladies and gentlemen, please say welcome to your host, Usin Booger.
Thank you, everybody, and welcome to our show tonight. We have a special show because it is a presidential election, and we have honored by the presence of Mr. Shinzo Abe.
Hi.
Welcome.
Thank you.
And also, we have the representative of the Democratic Party, Miss Robine Fanny.
Hello.
The first part of this program will be on economy. As you know, many Japanese are worried of the situation since the crisis. So, Prime Minister Abe, when he came into power in 4 years ago, already 4 years ago,
Yes.
take several measures to restore Japan economy and to make it more efficient. So these measures, known today as Abenomics, will be discussed on this program, and we will see if they were efficient or not. Okay, so now first question is for you, Mr. Abe. 4 years ago, you set a goal of inflation of 2% to tackle 50 years of deflation. After a few months of lightning success, we are back to where we were when you start. So how do you explain that?
So it's always a pleasure to be here with you, and tonight it's really cool to be on your show, and thank you for your invitation.
Okay.
And hi to my opponents.
Hi.
More seriously, first, the price of oil played has a negative impact to reach that goal. As you know, since 2013, drums of oil has fallen from $19 to less than 50. Japan is not a member of the OPEC. We are not producing oil
For sure.
or many of the raw materials we are using. We import deflation and imputed the measures we had taken mainly through quantitative easing, which we initiate through Bank of Japan, which consists in an increase in the size of open-ended asset purchases by the BOJ, which has devalued our currency and should has contributed to increase the inflation to reinflate our economy.
Yes.
Unfortunately, as you said, we are still in the context of crisis, like you
Yes.
know. Emerging market economies, the destination of 2/3 of our exports, slowed more than expected.
Yes.
And on the top of that, during the crisis, many Japanese manufacturers had shifted production offshore during the country's period of slow growth.
Yes.
But in all that negative perspective, I want to stress out our improvement. We had success in fighting deflation, and even if there were not lasting enough for many of us, I want to quote Mr. Eisuke Sakakibara,
The former chief of Bank of Japan.
absolutely,
Yes.
who cannot be accused to be one of my support,
Please.
be like, as
Yes.
I fired
please.
him.
Yes, I remember.
He
all
said,
do.
Abenomics has, on the whole, been a success, and that Mr. Abe and Mr. Kuroda should settle for an annual growth of around 1% in both GDP and inflation, rather than strive for 2% growth of these two fronts. Maybe we were overconfident and couldn't anticipate the weakening of our neighbor's bond. In my life, I met Oscar Wilde's famous quote mine, and I wish Japanese people to follow me on that. Always reach for the moon, because even if you miss, you will land among the stars.
Yes, certainly. I don't know if Japanese people will follow you on that, but I certainly do.
Thank you.
Fine. Now let's move on with the Democratic candidate, Mrs. Robine Fanny. What's your thoughts on the financing of the Abenomics measure? We know that Mr. Abe investing trillions of public money to finance, to buy government bonds. What are your comments on that?
Mr. Abe measures are reign in Japan. Our deficit became a bubble, which I'm not sure that it will lift us to the stars, but will certainly impact the future of the next generation. How they will be able to pay the service of the debt, which is only increased and reaches now 2.5 times of the GDP, a ratio even more than the Great State, which was the verge of bankruptcy. Japan is now famously worldwide known to be the country with the highest ratio of public debt in the world.
Yes, indeed.
So, Mr. Abe measures are devastating for the image of our country. As for its rating, in 2015, Standards & Poor's downgraded the ratio of Japanese government debt citizen with growth. Despite showing initial promise, Mr. Abe's strategy will not be able to reverse this deterioration in the next 2 or 3 years, the rating agency said. It was the third of the 3 major rating firms to do so. On the top of that, Mr. Abe's catastrophic headline is turning our debt that soon enough no private investor will be likely to finance, and the only one left to pay will be the Japanese people. So, Mr. Abe is playing with the yen like monopoly bills. This is not politics, this is gambling. Me, Prime Minister, I will restore the credibility of Japanese government and the independence of Bank of Japan. Mr. Abe has made serious damage to the reputation of our institutions, which are a part of a modern Japan.
Wow. I think that Mr. Abe will comment on what you just said. But first, Mr. Abe, you are shifting the tax burden away from capital and towards consumption. Why are you doing that?
Precisely to modernize Japan. But first I want, like you say, shortly answer to the comment of my little opponent just said. The role of a central bank and its interaction
She's
with...
really too, in fact, for Japan.
Yes, maybe. The role of a central bank and its interaction with the political power is indeed a modern issue raised in many parts of the world like Europe. My ministries and I have made it clear that the Bank of Japan will work for the benefits of the Japanese people, and that what we did, we assume it. And it reinforced the image of a government capable to take economical action for the right of its people. Back to your question, my friend. It's precisely because we want to modernize our country and want it to be more integrated in the world economy that we want to meet international fiscal standards. Japanese companies were paying a high rate of corporate taxes, 15% more than the average of other developed countries.
It's true.
On the same time, our VAT was 15% less. We achieved to get back Japan into the world business community by raising the VAT rate only of 3% and reducing the corporate taxes of 10%. That makes us more attractive to foreign investors and is increasing the fiscal income receiving our partners of our capability to pay back the debt and finance our politics.
That also put us into recession and our Japanese real income as the prices have been rising faster than wage and doesn't help to relaunch consumption. The fiscal bonus given by the government to the company doesn't serve the people. The wage aren't increasing.
The Japanese will make the choice, I am sure of that. Now, let's stay focused in the international trade context. We are reliant on it. As you know, Japan is exporting many of its goods. So, Mr. Abe, in the context of international protectionism, with the Brexit, with the election of Mr. Donald Trump in the United States, how will Japan will deal with that situation?
You know, I think it's a good question. I focus it on the necessary economic opening of Japan, notably by participating in many free trade agreements. In addition to eliminating tariff duties, the project will remove all non-tariff barriers and address issues related to regulation, competition, sustainable development, and public procurement.
It will create growth.
Yes, absolutely. The Prime Minister knows that. If Japan remains an enclosed island, prospect for growth will be nil.
Yes.
Japan is facing direct competition in the automotive and electronic sectors, like you too, I'm sure, of its South Korean neighbors. If we want to tackle these challenges, we must be more integrated into the world economy. The latest example is Japan's participation in the Trans-Pacific Strategic Economic Partnership, who I lead with myself, thought in 2013.
With Barack Obama also.
Yes, absolutely, and it's a really kind person. You know.
Yes.
The priority of outgoing US president, like you say, Barack Obama. Yes, of course. Or the engagement of negotiation with China's neighbors, South Koreans, it is also committed to Oceania in another free trade agreement. And finally, It signed an agreement on trade in services alongside the United States and our long friends.
What Mr. Abe has done is an historical mistake as the world is closing and Japan is opening. Mr. Trump has already said that he will hand the TPP. The Trans-Pacific Partnership is another disaster done and pushed by special interests who want to wreck our country, just the continuing wrap of our country.
I remember when Mr. Trump said that.
Yes.
Me too.
Japan needs a prime minister. We will respond to the new situation. As we contribute to the wealth of the USA and need a leader who will incarnate the positive role of Japan since the end of the World War II toward to the world.
Please,
Yes.
let me see something. I want to say Donald Trump respects strong leaders who have guts, and I'm a bold one.
I don't think so.
Uh, maybe we would ask Mrs. Abe how comment on that. So now, let's get back now to Japan. Around the Toku going to create a two-tier Japan where some zone will make a dumping on others. What's your thoughts on that, Mrs. Oliver?
Shinzo Abe wants to develop more attractive, more special economic zone, the Toku validated by the government bills in 5 December 2013.
Yes.
The selection of this economic zone takes place through the advisory council chaired by the Prime Minister himself. As the Prime Minister has nothing else to do.
I am sure that Mr. Abe has many things to do.
No, I don't think so. But
Yeah.
if and only several objectives are respected, like improve the economic and social situation of the area concerned, support innovative and so on, that will create the regulatory area.
Indeed.
There are two types of special economic zones. The so-called large economic zone, with, for example, since March 2014, Tokyo, Osaka, and Kobe. And those called special virtual area, such as Niigata or Fukuoka.
Yes.
Robert Friedman, an expert of Morgan Stanley, estimates that 2/5 of Japan's GDP was affected by this Toku, which is unprecedented compared to Athens, the Abe's predecessor. That will have effect on our national unity, which we cannot accept it. Please.
Okay. Like you said before, you say if I am prime minister, but I like when you say if. It's important.
But I will be, so.
Please let me just respond to your.
Let Mr. Abe respond.
What is affecting our national unity is the rootedness of some zone in our country. Our objective is to boost the economic activity of the selected cities and make them more attractive, in particular in terms of FDI. We want to spread the wealth and not all. If it only to few people. To achieve it, we announced measures to facilitate the obtention of a visa in this area, facilitating access to permanent resident status, the right for foreign doctors to work in this area,
You have done many things indeed, yes, Mr.
Yes,
Abe.
absolutely.
And I am sure that Japanese people will reward you for that.
I hope.
Now, finally, last question. How will you tackle the challenge of the aging society we are living in? As you know, Japan is getting more and more old, and many old people are not consuming, and they are increasing in the population. But while young people, which consume a lot, are less and less, and they are facing many difficulties. So, as we mentioned earlier, so Mr. Abe, what will you do for that?
Good question. Like you say, this was not a secret for anyone. But the numbers here confirm a trend. Japan is aging fast, we know. It's even the country that ages the fastest in the world. The figure is impressive. According to the latest census, the archipelago lost 1 million inhabitants in 5 years. I set the goal of checking the phenomenon. We are planning an immigration reforms to help expatriates find themselves more easily in Japan without mastering Japanese.
Yes.
While universities in the country have begun an internationalization process to attract foreign students and Japanese companies, especially large companies?
Yes, it will be easier for English-spoken students.
Absolutely, absolutely. Are increasingly looking to hire foreign students. Abenomics out there to Japan can accommodate more foreign workers and has made it one of the pillars of the country's growth strategy. This includes facilitating access to foreign resident status for skilled workers. To conclude, and for finish, because we have not the time,
Yes.
I think, to conclude, wants to feminize the working population.
Okay.
Or develop nurseries to facilitate the comfort of their active couples. Social reforms are therefore also present. The example of the increase of periods to parental leave is the perfect illustration.
Prime Minister Abe, I'm a woman and I can't guarantee that we will not make more baby by building nurseries. I promise you.
You are sure of that?
Yes, I'm sure.
Okay.
So it's
Not sure
only
that
by
you-
motivate people to have one that will achieve that goal. We can inspire a successful policy done abroad like in France, where not only you have fiscal advantage when you have a child, but you get benefits to raise it decently in your housing and education.
Thank you to the
Thank
both
you.
of you. Now we are running out of time and we need to do a little break. And after the break, when we come back, we'll talk about foreign policy.
Thank you.
Right.